while I whip this out. Excuse me 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 while I whip this out.
Yeah, that's Claudia Perez on the beatbox. We in the building. What's up, CC?
I'm trying.
Word up.
Hey, Doris, how are you? I see you. Yes, thank you for being in the house. We'll be on soon. We had some new things to talk about. We have old things to talk about. We coming in. Mi gente, my people, here with Rock Logic and Claudia CC Perez. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll be with you shortly.
Yeah, we here. We're just getting things set up, getting ready to go. We got a new start time coming up. Claudia's gonna rock the beatbox for a while.
Absolutely. Rock ain't got my beat right, so I'm trying to show him how to do it. You know, we need some Latino flavor in here. Some.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Wepa.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Wepa.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Is that what it is? Yeah, no, they got the big sound.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Hey, Claudia, you ready to hit the button?
Absolutely.
What you got going on there, girl?
It's social media graphic.
Okay. All right. Here we go now. Oh, the velvet never looked so good. That's what Doris said.
All right.
Just finished our cleanup day in Oceanside Apartments.
All right.
And the Rockaways, in the Rockaways.
Yeah, we
our God brought the community together, partners together, and we cleaned the rock. We helped NYCHA. Oh, NYCHA owe us some money, y'all.
Absolutely, man. Shout out to you, Doris. You out there, you doing the thing. We appreciate you. You another president that's out there in the far Rockaways. We know. We hear you. We see you.
She's working.
Absolutely. I'm coming out there to you, Doris. I'm gonna come to you. You ain't gotta come to me.
And there it is. Word up. So once again, this is another edition, the 5th edition of Mi Gente, My People, with your host, Claudia Cici Perez. Word up. So we were discussing like start times, right? Yeah. So I think like last week we were thinking like going to 3, right, and then maybe it might be sort of a safe bet to start and do 4 to 5 on Saturdays. What do you think about that?
I want to do the 4 to 5. I think it makes better with the schedules, y'all.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're going to push this to 4 o'clock where everybody can be here and we'll be ready for you guys instead of, it's Saturday. It's nice weather. We got things going on inside NYCHA, in our communities. It's live out there. Like, really. I just want to give a quick rest in peace to DMX. Today is his day where they're going down to the Barclays Center. They're taking his body over there. That's a real big loss in the hip hop community. Him and
Shock G,
Humpty Hump. Like, I grew up on that. It's sad for hip hop.
And
it
you
just
have Black
shows.
Rob.
Absolutely, he's from East Harlem.
Yeah,
he's from my neck of the woods. Like a lot of our hip people who I grew up with, they're passing away now, and it's just letting me realize, like, can't take it for granted. Reach out to your peoples, your family. Just call and check on them. It's really hard out here for everybody, during these times.
Yeah, it's real.
I will definitely say that, but yeah, I mean, like my sister.
Apparently, Doris agrees with you, by the way.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, Claudia, it's beautiful out.
And I'm in here trying to get y'all the news. So that's what we doing.
And she said, shout out to all those that helped us. Candidate Derek Hamilton, Miguel Hernandez came out.
Okay.
So it came out to give them a hand. Shout out to all the residents and partners that came out to help us. That's incredible.
Listen,
that's powerful.
A lot of the politicians are out there. They in our communities. They're knocking on your doors. Ask them the questions that y'all need to be asked. Washington Houses, that's where we were last week, Sunday, after last week's show.
Y'all had a big thing going on out there. What happened?
Absolutely. We had your boy, Speaker Chuck Schumer.
Whoa.
Chuck Schumer in the house. He came to Washington Houses to exhibit. He wanted to know how we living. So understand that. I'm quite proud because out of 300 plus developments, he chose Washington Houses to come to. That's real big because we don't get to talk to Chuck so much.
But hold on for a second. I don't know, but there's rumor on the street. Word on the street says, hold on. I'll put the camera on me. Hold on, put the camera on you. How about that? Mm-hmm. Word on the street says you actually got a video interview with Chuck Schumer.
Ooh, yes, I did.
Did you?
Absolutely, yes,
wow.
I did.
Okay.
It's on my Facebook page. I put it on the Mi Gente page, and I just want y'all to know what Chuck is saying. For all of you who don't understand, this is big for NYCHA. He is asking for $80 billion, for public housing on a whole, nationally. Out of that $80 billion, $40 billion is coming directly to NYCHA. So what I need y'all to understand, no to the blueprint, no to the RAD, no to the PAC. Let me tell y'all something. Money is coming. It's been said, but it's here in legislation. And like Chuck Schumer told me, he said, we gonna get it. And I believe the Chuck. Like, in all honesty, let me tell you something about, he might be a politician, he's a lot of things or whatever have you, but he's always a person of his word, and he's a New Yorker.
Right.
Okay? He came to the hood. You understand what I'm saying? He came to see it, and it's not his first time.
Yeah.
He's always made it his business to come and visit us in NYCHA to see our issues. And one of the best things about the situation is that not only is he pushing for this $80 billion that's coming directly to us for public housing and the infrastructure, but he's talking about the jobs. He's talking about getting rid of your lead pipes, getting rid of the lead in your walls, getting rid of the mold. And that's a direct impact. Like that money that's coming down right now, that is a direct impact to get rid of all those excess tickets that you have, all the conditions. It is to eradicate those things that are hindering us right away. He also said, which I found very interesting, is that infrastructure under Section 3, he wants to push the threshold to 40%. Now, for those of you who don't understand what that means, Section 3 is the jobs. And if you're going to be dealing with infrastructure, you're going to be understanding that we need to have our training programs. We need these OSHA trainings. We need our people ready, because once this is coming through the pipeline, y'all. It's coming through the pipeline, so we can't get ready. We have to be ready. So we, as resident councils, we need to start incorporating. We need to become the businesses, because what he's saying through this Section 3, we're the ones that could file for these contracts. We're the ones that are going to be the consultants to these contractors. So every time you talk about you want to be at the table, they're making it happen. They're making it happen for us to be at the table, for us to get that money that's going to be transferring hands, for us to be the ones to build back our community. And what we have to realize is that we, as NYCHA, need to become the locally owned businesses in our community. We're the ones to bring that back. So with that said, we gonna get some money, y'all. And everybody who's talking about RAD Pact and all those other conversions that are illegally being done and they bullying us, we finally got politicians and elected officials to come forth and say, no, it's null and void. Get it off the table. But what y'all have to understand, even though your elected officials are saying no, we have to support them. We have to show up and show out, because guess what? Even with the legislation being passed and everything, HUD still has the right to say no. So we have to make sure that we are in those places that we need to be. We need to make sure that when they say show up, we show up, because our voices are being heard. So we need to have a specific message that we're telling people, and that is to fully fund NYCHA now. Fund NYCHA now.
All right, so I'm going to go to the chat room on this thing right here, right? And in the chat room, Doris says, we are working on our 501c3 right now, right?
That's
she
right.
also says, we three presidents, we have in, we three
They will
presidents.
have it in 3
They'll
more
have
weeks.
it in 3 more weeks.
Shout out to you, Doris, because you know what? I need people to understand how to go about getting their 501c3.
And I think you need to explain that. And here's the reason why. Because we're saying, right, this money is coming, and it is better spent if you have a 501c3. Is that
501c3?
They can spend it with you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So I think we should talk about that process, right? Because you're saying that they need to be ready, right? And they need to be ready. In other words, you got to be in position to receive your blessing. So How do we put them in position?
Presidents are in the position to receive their blessing because, according to the HUD regulations in the non-64s, through your TPA funds, and I think, Rock, I showed you some documents about that where we're sitting on.
Yeah.
Tenant participation activity funds can be used to form your 501c3s. You do not have to worry where the money is coming from. So I'm just going to say this, right? We're going through a process, and myself, along with other presidents, and I'm glad that Doris is one of them, and Queens. Shout out to Queens Far Rockaway, but we also want to make sure that we are sharing this information. So guess what? If y'all want to know about how to incorporate yourselves, contact mi gente, my people, and I will get you that information. I will give you the person who can get that set up for you. They have recently become a vendor. His name is Ron Peterson. He has a PhD, a doctorate, okay? And he is helping us to get our 501c3. So shout out to Ron Peterson, who's helping us in NYCHA. Not only that, through it's a community building workshop. With this workshop, he explains to you the full aspects of what it means to incorporate, whether you want to be a for-profit, a non-for-profit. 501s go from a C1 all the way to a C9 or a C8. So you need to understand where you're going to fit in, what type of documentation you're willing to put up with for every year. You want to know if you want to be for-profit, what makes the best sense for you, whether you want it to be a LLC, which is limited liability corporation, or a LC, limited corporation. So these are the things that we need to start educating ourselves on. And again, if you want to know how to become incorporated, I am going through the process right now because I am trying to be ready. And we all don't have to do the same thing. Like, once you become incorporated, you can just be a consultant where you're doing exactly what you're doing right now as a president. You're getting people connected to services. Guys, listen up. Seniors, that's where it is. Senior programs, we do this. You can have programs that just do well checks. You can have, like I said, we are the resources to every program that wants to come into NYCHA. They contact the resident councils. Remember, we might be presidents, but we are resident council officers. We have boards, and everyone on that board is a resident council officer. So it is, you have more than one representative. Yes, they do come to the president, but guess what? That board also has the information that the presidents do. So again, when you're talking about incorporation, you have to get incorporated. Why are we always complain about we do this work and we don't get paid for it, right? If you are incorporated, you then in turn receive a consultation fee. You are now making money legally for yourself. Too many times you have people like myself. We're not getting any younger, and you see people who have been in this at the advocating for 30, 40 years, okay? This is after some of them retire, or some of them really don't have 9-to-5 jobs, and this is their job. Advocacy is a full-time thing. So if you don't know how to maneuver and you're not incorporated in some type of way, you are always going to be broke.
Okay.
You're always going to be broke. You're always going to be tired because this is tiresome work. So if I'm dedicating my life, so far, I will say I've been in this struggle since I was born, but I have dedicated my life to advocacy for the last 10 years, okay? So, and my daughter's 11. My youngest is 11. So I've been doing this since my fourth child was 1 year old, had her on the front lines. And guess what? The only benefits I see is pushing policy, getting education, and meeting more people. If you don't incorporate, You do not receive funding. And we need to start putting away for ourselves because we give a lot of it to this fight and it burns us out. So after this fight was here before me and it's going to be here after me. I feel that we are only here to push it where it needs to be.
So if I was a resident, so is it the sorry. This is so true, Claudia, right? We are the resident council officers. So let's say I start a corporation. I'm a resident president, right? Mm-hmm. And I start a corporation, right? Who pays me?
Who pays you?
Yeah. Where does my money come from?
Those organizations. Those organizations who want to come into your development.
Which are
like when you have, for instance, you have these advocacy groups that want to come and utilize you to get into your development. Okay. They have to pay you a fee.
Okay, got you. So that's where your consultation fee would come from.
Absolutely.
I see.
And there's other ways to do it. You know, I'm like I said, I'm going through the course now, so I'm familiarizing myself with it. Yeah. So as I know more, I will definitely bring it to you guys, the audience, so that you know exactly.
How long's the course for?
The course is 7 weeks.
7 weeks.
It's 7 weeks, 2 hours. 2 hours, 1 day a week for 7 weeks.
Okay.
So literally, if you did it for 7 straight days, you could get it within a week. But the awesome thing about it is when you take these courses, you also take it with your residents.
Okay.
This is how it's set up. So once we go through this course, we are all, by the end of the 7-week course, we get 2 certificates. Out of those certificates, now we are certified as representatives and consultants, right? To do the same course in which we just went through. So guess what? If I have 12 residents now, right? Mm-hmm. And you also get your incorporation through this. So while you're going through these classes,
so now you have CC Perez Corporation.
There you go.
Okay.
And you going through this 7-week course, right? By the end of the 7 weeks, you are already incorporated.
Oh.
So you learning about this and they're taking you through the steps. And when you finish this, you're incorporated. Now, what's so good about that, right? Now, other residents, other families who have come and taken your class, when you want to give these classes again, guess what? You charging another person. You could charge per person, or you could charge per resident council to do the same thing, but you already have your people who are able to facilitate this program. So guess what? You're empowering them. So therein lies, guess what? They now know how to utilize this and they can develop their own business. For instance, I had a shout out to Tammy with Kids Lives Matter too from Washington Houses. She has her Kids Lives Matter clothing line and she sells masks and stuff like that. So she's going to incorporate that. So now let's take it to us as resident council officers. Every year we have family days. Guess what? If I know Tammy's in my development and Tammy has already this business going, when I want t-shirts, who I'm gonna go to? I'm not going to Staples. I'm not going to those places. I'm going straight to Tammy. Guess what? Tammy is a business owner now that lives in my community. So we need to start, when you talk about monetizing your money, and that's what I mean when I say to you guys, we need to be the small businesses, because with the way that the time is here and today, brick and mortar is gone. So we don't have to worry about having an establishment. All you need is a webpage, and there it is. So it's a lot easier now for us to do that. So figure, Tammy does the t-shirts. Then you have another person who incorporates, they might want to run a security program. So guess what? When you getting everybody trained for those security jobs, when you need something in that sort, you have these business owners in your own community, and you're keeping that money within your community, and it's not going to big business. you're reinvesting in your community. So that's why we're saying to get incorporated.
And I would have to, sort of add on to that and say, well, in the chat room, Valerie Padella says,
Hey,
hi,
Valerie.
Hi, beautiful queen. She's like, absolutely. Doris is like, absolutely. Yeah, your support is big. No one supports me.
I love my viewers. And like I said, tú es mi familia. All right? We just need to...
Well, here's what I wanted to tell you. I've been incorporating for many years, right? Basically, a lawyer told me to incorporate back in 1998, and I created Rock Logic Incorporated. First corporation I had. What I found out about is, number one, corporations like to do business with other corporations. They don't even care if it's your one-man operation. You are a corporation. Now, what does that mean? That means that you let's say me as Rock is the human being. The corporation itself is another entity. Rock Logic Incorporated is not Rock Logic. You know what I'm saying? So there's certain tax benefits that you get when you're a corporation. You know what I'm saying? Most corporations, here's the truth, whether it's big or small, they don't really pay taxes. They don't really pay taxes because you use the money, you reinvest. A corporation's set up so that you reinvest in the corporation. But guess what? If you're the one that is the corporation, then you're reinvesting in yourself, right? So, for instance, if you're running the corporation out of your apartment in NYCHA, 1/3 of the rent is tax deductible under the corporation because the corporation technically occupies 1/3 of the space, right?
Look at that.
Gas, right? Gas is tax deductible. Your mileage on your car that you put in your car is tax deductible.
There you go.
Your clothes,
Your food.
your food, you go to lunch, that's tax deductible. So there's all these tax breaks that you can get from being a corporation. And when you get those tax breaks, it's not that you get a tax return, but you end up most of the time not spending any money paying taxes. Not to mention the breaks you get. Let's say what does your friend do? She does T-shirts. And
Yeah.
What's the line called?
Kids' lives matter too.
Kids' lives matter too, which means she needs T-shirts and what other stuff does
She needs
Mask,
screens. She needs the
right?
machine that makes the prints.
Guess what? So when she goes to buy those things, now she gets a tax ID number that is the corporation, not her social security number, right? And that corporation is now tax exempt. So when she buys all our product and they go, oh yeah, fill out this form for your tax ID number. If it's $15, it's $15. It's not $15 plus tax. So these are the benefits that you get when you are a corporation. You know what I'm saying? So I've been doing it for years, and I can tell you that, I paid very little taxes.
There you go.
And
That's the point.
And when Republicans was in office, it's really a railroad because they love corporations. Everybody gets tax breaks. When Democrats are in office, Democrats are more for people, right? They're more for people. Republicans, the basis of Republicans, and I'm not talking about these fools that are there now. The basis of Republicanism is start your corporation, do your own business, generate your own income, create the economic loop, and you create jobs.
Absolutely. And,
Which is what
when
you're talking
talking about the jobs, you have to link it in. Everybody's talking, not only Chuck is talking about bringing the threshold for Section 3 up to 40%. You also have the Senator Bernie Sanders. You have Bernie Sanders and Ocasio, who has that Green New Deal on the table. Now, what that entails is, let me just back it up a little. I think I have put a full picture of the reframing of how NYCHA should be. Because when we bring it to the $80 billion with Chuck Schumer, that's bringing the $40 billion to New York State for public housing to address immediately all the issues that NYCHA has now. Then you will move on into the Nydia Velázquez bill, who brings another $80 billion. Now you have that cushion specifically for New York, and it's talking about the Section 3 as well, bringing in the jobs. But what y'all have to understand too is when we're pushing these jobs, this is building back up the unions. So in turn, the unions where they were dying, remember the unions, they were most productive during the infrastructure stages, when the highways and the bridges and the tunnels, we're back at that stage. So guess what? When they say that they bring in those jobs and 40% of our community need to fill those jobs, we need to be prepared to fill those positions. We need to be able to know what it is that's coming and prepare ourselves and be ready. That's the point. We don't want to get ready. This is me telling you how to get ready. So once you go through the Nydia Velasquez bill, right, that also brings sustainability. You now branch off into the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal has factors in where they want resident council officers to receive a stipend of not just $200. They want to up it to $1,000 a month. They also talk about bringing efficient energy to NYCHA. So when you're doing this stuff, you will be able to bring it up to code with the new building codes, and we're making greener new energy, and we're energy sufficient. We're going to be paying less for our water. We're going to be paying less for our electricity because of the solar panels. Where our lead pipes in our buildings infrastructure, that will no longer be in there. So when they're outfitting our apartments, they're doing it in a way that is moving towards climate, where climate is a big impact on all of us, and we're getting ready for it and preparing ourselves for it. And if you look into the research, the biggest investment in any community will be in public housing. Public housing residents, families, are an economic boom to any community. For whatever people are out there telling you that it's not the case, it's lots of studies out there that shows you have to invest in the people. Investing in the people makes the dollar go round. But this time, I'm telling y'all, let's invest in us. Let's get our corporations going. Let's start being the local business owners in our communities again. Let's start having those conversations. I don't know about y'all, but once again, and Cindy Garcia, I'm going to shout you out too, because we need to also include the thing around marijuana. We've been the most affected by the marijuana, and nobody's talking about the new bill that came out. Nobody's talking about how it's going to be disseminated. Yeah, if you look at it, marijuana has been legalized in New York. But where are the dispensaries going to be? Where are the other things that go into it? All right, one of the things that they did say, again, is that the taxes could help housing. Yes, they can. But also, that is a career. We have to look at it realistically. And we have other entities in which we could tap into resources and build out our communities to where it's prosperous. You got to understand the disinvestment with public housing came in the late 90s because it was the business boom. And they found that building new public housing was too expensive. So they stopped it. And that's in 1998 when they passed the Faircloth Law. And what the Faircloth Law did, it said that you can no longer build public housing, especially the mass superblocks that were happening. But it stopped it altogether. So again, that's when the disinvestment in public housing started, because the turnover rates were high. But we were still lacking the resources. And all those resources that we say that we're lacking in our communities, when you go out there to build your business, think about that. Be those community saviors. Be those people in the community that give those services. Think about that. We have seniors. Seniors is a big business. However you want to look at it, we need to monetize, and we need to make sure that that wealth stays within our communities, and our children and our children's and our children's are the benefactors of that. So what we need to start asking ourselves is, what does economic equity look to us in our communities? And I just explained it to you a little bit in my vision, and that's just my vision. We go with this $80 billion from Chuck. We come in with the Nydia Velasquez bill, and then you bring it home with the Green New Deal, because once we get those two in its place, we know we can start really looking at the Green New Deal. And that is legislation. And you have to ask yourself, how do you put that legislation out? Because the Green New Deal was put out in 2019, and that bill has been sitting at the table.
I'd like to talk about a Green New Deal. Mm-hmm. So are we saying that, and this is what I'm thinking, right? Since we've been affected by marijuana and weed and Chiba and whatever you want to call it in the chronic, right, in NYCHA, isn't it only fair that we directly benefit from it?
Absolutely.
So in
But
other
how?
words, can we open a dispensary in NYCHA?
Well, I don't think you can do that dependent on it, because you got to remember NYCHA is federal. So.
Well, how about across the street?
Well, yeah.
Like across the street in Queensbridge or Washington, where Bodega is now, right?
I got you. We got the smoke shops there. So
right. The resident council, or they open up. I'm serious. They open up. It's legal, right?
No, but yeah, I'm
We
glad
open
you
up a
said
weed
that.
shop.
It's not just a weed shop.
Right.
It's not just a weed shop, but y'all need to understand this. We can also open retail. We can open our own supermarkets. We can run our own community centers when we do these businesses. So understand, when you incorporate and you talk about, oh, I don't like this. We always talk about the people who took over our community centers because NYCHA didn't want to run them anymore. This is the way for you to apply for those same grants that those organizations in your community apply for to run your community center. And then they come to you to ask you for the children. And talk about the BS. All right, how many times have they said that they have a program in your community and they go, oh, guess what? Nobody showed up. Well, what did you do for outreach? Oh, we put up flyers. Well, where did you put the flyers? In the lobbies? No, that's not reaching the people. Yeah. That's not getting to the people. What happened to putting it on every floor by the elevator? What happened to when you have a big development doing one section at a time, just doing random door knocking and letting people know? Because you know how many people, I sit here and I talk about the blueprint, I talk about RAD, I talk about PAC, and you know how many people in my development alone, that still don't know anything about it?
Well, they think ignorance is bliss.
No, it's not ignorance. Guess what? It's a disconnect in the dissemination of the information. Okay?
And this is why they don't know.
They don't know because guess what? I might know, but if I put a flyer or something and it's too many words, you're not going to sit there and read everything.
100%.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're going to
So unless you go to a meeting and then you go to a meeting and I start talking about it, oh my gosh, she's going on for so long. Like, do we really, like, at the end of the day, I still got to go to work. I still got to do this. I still got to do that. So there's a lot of that going on.
And you know what? That's the smoke screen, and I want to talk about that. And that's kind of amongst, we do the show, we do Mi Gente, my people. I want to talk to my people, right? Because here's the deal. You'll do that, right? You get so bogged down, and here's the trap, because it's really a trap, really. You get so bogged down in your day-to-day life that, I got to go to work and I got to do this. You don't realize that lack of focus because you're unable to walk and chew gum at the same time is how your home is being taken away from you.
Absolutely. Now is the time. If you don't get up and fight right now,
yes.
And this is what I'm going to tell every single person. If you do not get up and fight And I mean fight like hell. Whether it's write a letter, make a phone call, attend a meeting, if we do not get up and fight for our housing, we will go back to the background and it will just be background noise that we're doing. Right now, in this moment, every single elected official all across New York State has public housing on the tip of their tongues. Even in, like, I'm going to say, when Chuck came over, I got the opportunity to speak with Hakeem Jeffries. He came across the water. You understand?
Right.
Some of them, I even managed to solicit some interviews that'll be coming up. But the point was, public housing is up there, y'all. Now is the time. It will never have as much attention as it does now.
Right now, yeah.
Yes, we need to fight. We need to reserve Section 9. We need to explore Section 3. Again, I'm going to go into the Green New Deal when it talks about Section 3. And it's saying that those contracts that are coming down the pipeline for the infrastructure, a certain percentage must be filled by residents of public housing. A certain percentage of the business concerns will be with the resident business owners of public housing.
I got to tell you something. I'm in the chat room, and Doris says this. Let's have some apartments in each NYCHA development turned into ownership, where those residents who can own their apartments own it, right? She also says, exactly, Claudia, apply for the same grants to run our community centers. Let's go. Deeper. Let's run our own management office. Boom. She hit you with a boom.
Doris, you know that that's on the table. That's always on the table. But resident management means multiple things. And yes, you can run your entire development. But realistically looking at it and looking at the position that you're in right now, you have to look at that. And that's what I'm talking about, making realistic goals. Resident management means so many things. So right now, yes, you could take over the managerial part, and that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about incorporation. Again, you have to be a business owner, 501c3 or 501c whatever, before you can even look into becoming resident management. So you have to go through that process. I think I mentioned that before.
So I just want to be clear about something. The people that are in the office, right, in the management office, do they work for NYCHA or are they a private company?
No, they work for NYCHA.
So they're NYCHA employees.
Everybody in that NYCHA management office is a NYCHA employee.
The guys you pay the rent to.
The guys we pay the rent.
So it's not like a private corporation.
No, that's only if you converted. They only change your management once you go through a conversion of RAD or PACT at the moment. There are no blueprint transformations.
And then it becomes private.
Yeah.
I'm saying once you do that. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So then now this is interesting. So now if the resident council takes over management and they become a corporation, then they don't work for NYCHA.
No, you work for yourself.
You work for yourself, and you control
and you have your own employees that you put on them grounds to do the job. Come on, let me break it down.
Please do.
Right now, NYCHA has outside organizations that are knocking at your door to tell you about the blueprint, to tell you about and for those of you who don't know, NYCHA has a climate change program going on. That they are putting together. NYCHA's doing a lot of things, and that's what I need y'all to do. Go on that NYCHA website and start looking at the things that are coming out. And you start with me. When I started seeing this, I'm like, wait a minute.
What's the website address?
It's just NYCHA.
Just punch in NYCHA.gov.
NYCHA.gov.
Okay, cool.
You understand the New York City Housing Authority website, right? When you go in there, you'll see about climate resiliency. You'll see about efficiency as far as with the one of the things I read too is that Maytag, right? They were the first ones in the 1980s to develop a refrigerator and a stove that were able to fit in compact apartments, compact machines to work in apartment households. So they were the ones, when you look at your NYCHA stove, because most of us get that 14-inch by
little
4.
joint, yeah.
Yes, that was specially made. And it was a contract that was created between NYCHA and Maytag. There's research on that. And I did that just looking up like the appliances that go into your apartment.
Right.
And that's how I found that out. But yeah. So again, if we're those businesses and a lot of our kids are innovative and you have innovative other corporations and you come together, we can create things. Now we're going to go back to the resident management because that's what Doris was talking about, right? And realistically, what I'm saying is unless you have a team, because remember, it's no I in team. And in order to be resident management, you have to have a strong supportive team and you have to have a knowledgeable team. So now, realistically, what resident management looks like for me right now is me taking over all services. And when I say services, I mean when you have different people coming into the development to offer services, I'm the person that you go through. I'm the person that can take all of that over. Matter of fact, I'm the caveat for you to get the people to go to your programs. And that right there, when you say you're in your community and you're trying to find programming for certain things, right there, then and there, if you become that business to be that caveat for all those organizations in your community, there's no one book out there to say, well, you know what? This organization does adult learning. This organization does children with special needs. There's no booklet telling you that. So guess what? You could build a corporation just around that. And that's useful. And people gonna come to you because guess what? The same way NYCHA send you those emails and as presidents and resident council officers know, well, hey, there's this, we wanna introduce you to this vendor. We wanna introduce you to our partner. They partner with us and we collect that money. Simple. But that's a form of resident management. So eventually you can start training people to clean. Like you get you get somebody under your corporation, you hire them to train people just on the cleaning aspect of it all. So we could take over the groundskeeping and landscaping, where you just have people that pick up garbage, clean your buildings, and do the landscaping. You could take that over. That's a form of resident management. So you keep doing that and growing until you take it over fully. So yes, Doris, we can have resident management. It is a process. You have to have the right team. You have to have the knowledge, and you have to have the drive of people wanting to stand and follow through with it. So yes, Mama, it is capable of happening.
It's interesting. So she says, Doris is on it today, boy. She's got a lot. She says, let's have a building devoted to teach residents ownership, credit reports, how you save money on to own your own apartments.
That's a business right there. That's a business design right there.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Who would like to own one of these buildings that have been set aside to own?
Lots of us will. Yeah. Lots of us will, because NYCHA owns a lot of property. That's what people fail to realize. NYCHA does not just only own large tenements. They own small tenements where it's 3-floor walk-ups. They own homes. They also have the program where, because it's stated in the HUD regulations, where you're supposed to have a program that helps you transition, that helps you get a mortgage, a low mortgage rate with the banks. They're supposed to do that, but they don't. So let's also look at when we push in this legislation, not only do we need it on a federal level, but we need it on a state and city level. We need legislation to follow on all three accords for it to be truly enforced. Because right now, one of the major problems we have is with HUD. HUD allowing NYCHA to work outside of the guidelines that has been set for the structure in place. So there's no ramifications on a state and city level, and you don't have anyone backing you up on the federal level. So you need people on all three levels, legislation, policy, on all three levels to back each other up. Because for how long has that 30% been inside the Section 3 guidelines, and it has been overlooked for so long? And that's a federal guideline. So if you don't have city and state people that are enforcing it, or going over those legislations and making sure that people are abiding by them, it's just going to be rhetoric as it is. Definitely.
Okay. And in the chat room, here goes Doris. You ready?
Yeah.
Home ownership within NYCHA for those residents who have the finance to do so. So you would own your NYCHA apartment?
Yeah, you can't own your own apartment. You can do that.
Like a condominium?
Like a co-op. Absolutely.
Really? Huh.
You're on your own. See, how I see that, and everybody sees it differently, is that, like Darvis said, you would take, let's say, 2 buildings. That's 200 apartments, right? Mm-hmm. And you dedicate those 200 apartments, right, to just people who want to be homeowners or who want to buy into the cooperative.
Okay.
And those 2 buildings will be managed by a resident management corporation, but the people are the ones that are really running it, because that's theirs. And that's something you don't have to worry about your lease. If you want, you leave it to your kid or your grandkid, or you don't have to worry about that, because that's yours.
Because it's yours.
And I'm going to just put a scenario out there. If you do that, right? Let's say grandma did it, because it's just happening. Grandma been there for over 50 years. It's just happening. Unfortunately, grandma passes away, and she leaves her apartment, her condo, to her grandbaby, right? Now, it's a blessing. Granddaughter moved in. She's there for 10 years. She saved her money up. Guess what? When she wants to leave, she now has the opportunity to sell that apartment back to the housing authority, okay, or the resident management corporation. And there goes your down payment for your house. And you could take the rest of that money that you've been saving to furnish that pretty house that you did, that you want to get.
So this is an actual plan.
Absolutely.
That's possible. I love it.
It's possible.
That is dope.
This is actually what happened during the 90s. Okay. But it happened at a rate that was so fast that people was like, hey, we don't need to invest in it no more, because look, it's already working. Look, half the people already moved out. They're doing better than they did. So why keep investing? But you got to understand that only met 20% of the people needing homes.
Right. Okay.
That only, it's there, y'all.
So what do you got planned for this week?
This week, I'm just chilling. I just want to enjoy the weather.
You're not advocating this week?
I advocate every week.
Yeah.
When I tell you I advocate every week, I advocate every day.
I saw a video of Carmen Quinones the other day, and I guess it was her development where she's at, and she had all this food out in front.
Oh, Carmen always does food pantry. Carmen does pantry twice a month for her residents. She does that through City Harvest, I do believe. Certain people get certain contracts. She's on the west side. I'm on the east side. I will say, coming up, I'm planning like this summer, I'm planning like a lot of outdoor events. And when I say outdoor events, I'm planning to have movie night, game night, dance night, We need to learn how to come back out into society. And what I'm trying to say is my events will be held from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. or maybe 9 p.m. because I need y'all to understand that, and who I'm talking to know who I'm talking to. I need y'all to understand that we as older people, this is our community too. We are going to be outside. You go take that crap into your household. We don't want it in our neighborhoods anymore.
Got you.
And that's where I'm at with it. Like for real, I'm to an extent where it's just too much violence happening around me. Everything bogs you down. It's always a fight with everything.
Who like that? Hold on. Somebody like that.
Thank you.
Eleanor Bumpers has liked your stream.
Hey, Eleanor.
Eleanor's
good
tuned
to
in. What's
see
up?
you.
Big shout out to Eleanor. Yeah.
So, is this summer I want to practice love.
You want to practice love?
That's right. Love thy neighbor.
I love it. I love it.
Love thy neighbor.
Because we're tired, y'all. We tired of being in the house. Hell, we're tired of being in the house.
Yep. And my baby said, Mommy, I want you to spend more time with me. So, I'm dedicated. So I'm a mother first and foremost before anything. Yeah. But we always in this struggle. Look, y'all push me to it's 4:00 now, our show. Stop playing.
Yeah, 4:21. It says, Doris says we're doing City Harvest as well in Oceanside Apartments on the second and the fourth Monday.
Shout out to you, Doris.
So this is interesting because, once again, I don't live in NYCHA, right? I never professed that I did. I'm a NYCHA sympathizer.
You're an advocate.
An advocate. I am an advocate. So. I'm an advocate. I'm an advocate for it. I'm there. You know what I'm saying? I'm down on the front line. This is the whole reason why we do these shows. But so, she had skids of food.
Yeah, you get stacks of skids
like
of food.
It wasn't like no bags. And then she had this other thing going on where I think some flooding happened at her vaccination site.
Yeah. She had a lot going on
that day.
Let me tell you. But she in it. Let me just say that, and that just goes to show like how much we go through, because it's a lot that we go through. And one day, what I'm gonna do, just for y'all, I'm gonna just start calling my residents at random and letting them rent, and so y'all could hear exactly, because they tell it better than I can. Yeah. They really do. And when my residents and family suffer, I suffer. Just like these cold days, we didn't have no heat overnight. Come to find out, it was only my building. Then they didn't know. Then I had 2 elevators down in one building. So I could go on and on, but I don't want to talk about that. Because I live that. You understand what I'm saying? I want to talk about the love. How many people have you just reached out to today and said hello, or looked at somebody and gave them a head nod? And that's what we need, because, we've been locked up for so long. Yeah. The weather's nice. And I want to tell y'all, we're still in the middle of a pandemic, y'all. Keep your mask, and if you're not wearing your mask, don't go talking in somebody's face. Please keep your 6 feet. You understand? It's all right. It's your prerogative. It is everybody, what they choose to do. We will say they did put the Johnson & Johnson back on the table.
Back on the market. You figure with 6 people that clotted up, right?
Out of 7 million.
Million people. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you know what? Okay, I'm not doing the vaccine because I'm actually, all of the vaccines have a potential for clotting, right? And
you have that.
I have that potential naturally. You know what I'm saying? I clot. Like, you cut me and I don't bleed for a hot minute. You know what I'm saying? Like, my blood has always been thick. So I'm not going to do anything to agitate that. But for you people out there, right, that aren't taking the vaccine,
y'all need to take this seriously.
Keep your hands clean and keep your mask on your face and stay 6 feet away, because this thing is very, very real. People are being killed every day by it. You know what I'm saying? Is it being managed better than it was last year? Absolutely, 100%. Because it's last year, this time, you got COVID. It was a straight death sentence off the cuff. Now, it's like, okay, you're getting sort of like a flu vibe. You're down. Mm-hmm. But however, here's what you'll have to understand. You people that don't believe in this COVID thing. Post-COVID, sometimes is worse than the COVID.
Absolutely.
After COVID, there are people that develop blood clots. After COVID, people be foggy. After COVID,
they have liver problems.
They have liver problems, kidney problems, heart problems.
Damage.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what the consequences are going to be from having COVID for a very long time. We have to do those studies. Those studies got to get studied, y'all. Speaking on that note, in December, we had a president, Michael Steele, from downtown by Rucker. He passed away. The National Low Income Housing Coalition, he was on their board, and they just found out this week. So if anybody out there knows how to get in contact with Mr. Michael Steele's family, can they please contact us at Mi Gente My People?
Is there an email address for that?
Do we have an email address?
We might need one.
We're gonna need one. Well, y'all can reach out to Rock or
you can hit me at
myself.
rocklogic67@gmail.com. That's rocklogic67@gmail.com. What do you got, Claudia?
I got the Perez, PEREZ .WeRise, WERISE @gmail.com. Please hit me up and let me know if you can get in contact with their family so that I can give you guys the information from the NLHIC where he was aboard. They had no idea that this man passed away. And that's the sad part about it, is that we are active in so many organizations, and through COVID, it's just like we lost contact, and people are just finding out that he passed away, and they just want to send something for him to the family, you know. So if anybody knows how to get in contact with Michael Steele's family, please, you know, reach out to us, because we're trying to make sure that he's remembered. Yeah, we that's what I said. We just need to share the love, y'all. Like, for real. You need to share it.
Doris says, shout out to the OJs. The love train.
There you go.
Right? Communities all over the world.
That's right.
Love train.
There you go.
Well, she's doing it. She said this summer we're coming out. Love, 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 love. The Niger community.
That's right.
The one king called Beloved.
No, we gonna get incorporated. So
One
all
Dr. King. The one Dr. King Beloved called Beloved.
We gonna.
Well, you dished out a lot of information in the last hour.
I try to be precise and accurate and you know, shrink it down so it's not so heavy. But these are heavy topics because we live in this. This is heavy.
Do you think next week maybe, I don't know, I'm just going to take a shout out there.
What do you want?
I want the Chuck Schumer video.
Oh, you can have the Chuck.
Yeah. I want to put it on the show.
Yo, he actually gave a shout out to Me Gente My People.
I need
let me
that.
tell you something.
I need that.
He is the most down to, like, I'm a Chuck Schumer fan. Like, I grew up with, Chuck has been in his seat since 1999. Wow. For real. He's up for re-election in 2022, and I'm gonna vote for the Chuck, because I could tell you honestly, he's been one of our rock stars for nature. Like, I've had plenty of conversations, even when we was asking Cuomo for that $2 billion, sorry, you know, and I want to say, never forget where you come from. I am here today, and people, you know, ask me, like, how did I get into this? I'm here because of Community Voices Heard. So shout out to CVH. You know, a lot of us started there. A lot. And what y'all have to understand, right, is that Community Voices Heard is in the East Harlem community. That's where their base is. And I will say this. They taught me the ins and outs. They the basic 101 for organizing. A lot of organizers that you see here today, they started at Community Voices Heard. So I will say that sometimes you outgrow the space that you're in.
As you should.
And you don't ever forget where you came from. So I'm just say shout out to Community Voices Heard. I'm one of their soldiers that's out here. You know, I carry my own name now, and I just need y'all to understand that. And that's me putting out that olive branch, y'all. Because I will say, you know, in my hardest times, they were always there for me. And Afia, I saw you on Sunday. I feel you. And I look forward to working with y'all and everybody else in this, because we all have a space in this. We all have a fight. I don't care. As long as you live in NYCHA, you have a right to be heard. You have a right to have a decent home. You have a right to be considered as a person and not a piece of property. And we are going to eliminate this NYCHA to prison system. And that's why I keep bringing up the marijuana aspect, because that has had our children, our fathers, cousins, brothers, uncles, aunts, everybody has had police contact at some point in time because of this misdemeanor. It has destroyed lots of lives. And like I keep saying, NYCHA is the only place where we're doubly policed. We have the PSAs and we're policed by the local precincts. So again, y'all, I just want to thank y'all for tuning in. And Rock, as usual, you know, thank you for being here and allowing me this space, and blessings. And we out.
Cool. See y'all next week. Quick reminder, 4 o'clock.
4 p.m.
All right, that's the joint. And I'm punching out, y'all.
Adios.